Shapoi, how are you doing? Today I'm coming at you from Richmond Park, southwest London, basically walking distance. And today I'm coming at you with a video that goes about the Ascension process from moving from the third dimension into the fifth dimension. So I will explain this entire concept with you, okay? So for who is this exactly? This is for anyone who has an interest in spiritual awakening, spiritual development. So maybe you can identify yourself with being a light worker, star seed, an empath and high sensitive, or you're just, a spiritual seeker on your path of self-acquisition and self-realization. So Ascension, what does that word mean? It basically means is to increase your vibrational frequency into a higher state of consciousness. So with that having in mind, then also the concept of the third dimension and the fifth dimension, and dimension then it's also something that we refer to as a state of consciousness. So for example, I am looking at this big giant tree, as you can see right there. And the question is, so what exactly is matter? Because the third dimension is the realization that we can perceive material objects. Now, if you go into quantum physics, then you know that a material object contains like different levels of, it contains like different kind of cells, like the molecule, the atom, the quark, and so forth. And what we have discovered in the study is that the reason we can perceive it is because these substances vibrate at a very low vibrational frequency. That's why we can perceive it. So the question is, of course, okay, so what exactly is the space between the material object and my perception of it? Is it empty? Is it nothing? Or does it contain, or does it have like a higher vibrational frequency? And the reason we can perceive it is because we are perceiving it with our 5 basic senses, okay? So that is, of course, vision and smell and taste and hearing, and you know what I mean, right? With our 5 basic senses. Of course, we have also like higher sensory perception, which is more related to, the fifth dimension. So the third dimension, it is more than just the perception of our material environment. It also, because that's a state of consciousness itself. But also what goes with it is our relationship with it. It is also containing an aspect of ourself, And also, we as human beings, we also have like different state of consciousness. For example, we have a physical body, we have a mental body, we have an emotional body, and we have like an energy body, or a light body, we can also call that. And when we talk about increasing your vibrational frequency, we speak about increasing the vibration of your energy body, your light body, and more about that a little bit later in this video. So right now, where we're at in our society, it's much more about, our perception of ourselves, how we identify ourselves in relationship to material objects. Okay, so that's really to sum up the third dimension. So what's really going on is this aspect of the lower self. It is much more the mind. Okay. The mind, or the lower self, it's more concerned about his sense of self, okay? So self-image, or the idea that we have about ourselves, okay? Compared to others, okay? So it lives in an illusion of duality and separation, okay? So the duality is more in the sense of judgments, okay? So how should I judge myself in relationship to others in the world around me? And constantly like seeing things between good or bad, okay? Or right and wrong. That's really what we mean with duality. Light and darkness, there cannot be light if there was no darkness. And separation, it's it's also the illusion, like, listen, I have a physical body, and my physical body is separated from the trees around me. Okay, so that's also the concept within the third dimension, is this idea of separation. And we can also see ourselves separated from other people. Okay, we can see ourselves separated from the world around us, planet Earth, other animals, for example. And at the physical level, that might be true, but as I mentioned before, you know, we also have like an energy body, and an energy is like, you know, a little drop of water that is swimming around in an ocean, right? And as you know, all the tiny little drops of water makes the ocean. So that's really kind of the idea of our energy body. What we will get to that in any moment, so stick with me. So also within the third dimension, it's more the concept of the mind, okay, the lower self, the ego mind. And the ego, it's that part of us that has this primary function or job to make sure is that you stay safe and secure. Okay, so what it wants is trying to protect you from danger. And again, you know, we see that we are separated from the world around us, and we think that the world around us wants to hurt us, it wants to attack us, or any kind of that kind of fear. So there's like a lot of fear and separation and that kind of negativity going on in that level of consciousness. So what else is going on in the third dimension? What's going on is that when we operate from the ego fears is that there is never enough. Okay, there's never enough for us, and that's really what's going on in our society. And if we stick to that level of consciousness, then, you know, what is currently going on in our world is that basically we are exploiting our resources in order to fill that void. Okay, is to fill that sense of lack and emptiness and fear and never enough, and I am separated from the world around me, and that sort of things. And that's really where, you know, our consumer kind of driven society is really based on. It's really based on this idea or this illusion of separation. And the ego mind, or the lower self, it is again very obsessed with identity. Okay, it's also obsessed that it never really has enough, because what it actually does is it's basically projecting all your past memories, experiences that you have stored in your subconscious mind. So within your subconscious mind, you basically have access to an infinite library of thoughts, feelings and emotions that you have once experienced. And what it does is it perceives something, and at the fraction of a second it goes inside your subconscious mind, and it's putting up these files, you know, these thought files, the thought form or emotional imprints, and it's projecting that in the present moment with the expectation that also becomes your future. So what's really going on when you live from the mind? It's constantly living in the future, it's constantly looking at things that might come to you. Okay, so it's never really totally present. Okay, and that's really what we're doing, is we are trying to chase things that might come up in an upcoming day, an upcoming week, an upcoming month, an upcoming year. And that is actually what's causing us to lose touch with what is real. Okay, so we're not really in touch with true reality, and that is of course the present moment, because only the present moment, that's what's real. And again, you know, it's also like reliving the past. So we're living in past experiences, projecting that in the present moment. We're not in touch with the present moment because we are thinking that will come up in an upcoming event. So basically, the third dimension, it's more the concept of the lower self, the ego mind, that is constantly after survival and feeling unsafe and insecure and not connected with the present moment. And we're living more from the mind and so forth. So it's actually desiring something coming from a place of lack and scarcity. So that's all coming from this idea of separation. So what is that we are really separated from? We are separated from our essence, okay, which is our energy body, our spiritual being, because we think what actually was going on over the last decades is that science, we started to believe in science, and science started to completely neglect this idea, also from various religions and that sort of things. So that caused even more separation. So we are basically like cut off from an other aspect of ourself, which is has more to do with our higher self. So the fifth dimension. Now you might be asking yourself, so what actually happened with the fourth dimension? The fourth dimension is basically a plane where, that's what I mean. Sometimes we have airplanes going over, so I apologize for that. The fourth dimension is basically a plane, an energy plane, when a human being lost his life, and then his spirit basically just wandering around in a plane, trying to come back to the earth, or not sure if he has to ascend to the fifth dimension. So that's basically the plane where a lot of lost souls are wandering around, hoping they come back to this earth one more time, because they probably wanna deal with some kind of karma debt that they have created in a previous lifetime. And that's really the reason why we are stuck in this incarnation cycle, and that we keep constantly coming back to this third dimension, because we have created so much of karma debt that our soul choose to come back here in order to solve that part, so we can get more into alignment with our true self. Now the fifth dimension, again, it is a state of consciousness. Okay, the fifth dimension is the realization that we are not separated, and there's also no duality. Okay, so it's basically like a plane or an existence, or where everything is unified. So there is no judgment between good or bad, okay, or right and wrong. It is what it is. So whatever is going on in your life, it's this realization, like, oh, you know what, it is what it is. Okay, so there's no judgment. There's not that's a loss, that's a failure, that's a pain, or that's a suffering, or it's this or this or that. So it's no more putting labels on things, okay, that we have once decided, like, okay, that is negative, or that is bad, that is wrong. Okay, so it is what it is. That's why we can relevate everything in a more conscious way. Now the fifth dimension, it's the vibrational frequency of everything that has the intention of unconditional love and above. So what is that thing with unconditional love? Unconditional love, that's really basically our core essence, and that is basically the realization that, again, we are this tiny little drop of water that is swimming around in this ocean, and all these tiny little drops of water makes the ocean. And with that kind of level of awareness or realization, we don't want to have the intention, like, wait a minute, if I start to unify with my ocean, I started to take care better of my ocean, then this ocean will take care for me. Okay, so it is the realization, like, hey, wait a minute, if I take care for that what I'm part of, then that what I'm part of is going to take better care of me. Now, as long as we believe in separation, that's not really going to happen. Okay, and we constantly stick in this struggle of fear and survival and lack and limitation and that sort of things. So that is a part of the realization. And again, unconditional love, I also spoke about it in one of my previous videos, the root cause of human suffering, and that is because of desire. There are two kind of desires. One desire could be, for example, like, you think you need or want something because you believe you don't have it, right? Again, you believe in the illusion of separation and the illusion of lack and limitation. That's why you want to chase something in your external world, because then you hope someday you can go and get it and fill up that void, that sense of disconnection or feeling of emptiness. So that's really what you're trying to do, right? That desire, you chase something down because you believe you don't have it, and that's why you keep desiring to accumulate something. There's another desire, and that desire comes from an intention or a place of unconditional love. And that is like you can see something, you can feel something, and you believe something, and you strongly believe that is really like in the highest good, that can also benefit someone else. So for example, you have like raised your vibrational frequency to unconditional love and above, and now you want to share that realization with the world. So then, you know, you wish, or your purpose or your cause becomes is to bring forward that light and love to the world. Again, it's that realization, like, you know, you are this tiny little drop of water who is swimming around in his ocean, that wants that has the highest intention to take care of his ocean, because then this ocean can take care for him. So it's that kind of unified level of consciousness. There's so much more to that, and again, you know, as soon as we put words on something, as soon as we put an explanation on something, we are rationalizing things. And at the moment we are rationalizing things, it's not longer the fifth dimension anymore, because it's conceptualized with the minds. And that's really what's going on already in this video, is that I put words and thoughts to something, to a concept that can't explained by words. It is something that has to be experienced with the heart. It has to be experienced with your soul. It has to be experienced with your light body, because again, it is the realization that you are more than just a physical body. Is that you can look around you, or you can feel and you can sense that everything is like an infinite horizon of oneness and unity, that there is no end. The only thing is that you are then raising above your physical realization. You're raising above your physical perception of the world. You're raising above your physical body. So basically you are moving beyond your physical body. So the question is do we have to die for that? You know, again, concept death is another it's another illusion that we believe in, because you can already get a glimpse of the fifth dimensions during your, let's say, your meditations. You know, my meditations are more energetic. I call them mindfulness meditation, but actually they are more energetic, because through these visualizations and imaginations you can already get more in touch with your energy body, your light body, and through these guided meditations you can start to experience already tiny little glimpses of the fifth dimension. Again, you know, when I'm trying to get a guided meditation out in the world, I never really have any kind of idea or thought like, okay, this is what I am going to create. It does not really work in that way, because how it actually works is you surrender to that what is, and you're trying to allow things to happen. And that's really the beauty, is that we can let go of control, because control and power and manipulation, intimidation is again, you know, a concept of the third dimension of the mind, of the ego mind, because that wants to get his control in order to be safe and secure, right? It does whatever it takes in order to grab on the illusion of safety and security in order to survive. So through these guided meditation, again, the fifth dimension is much more in tune with the highest self. Okay, is where you can get much more in tune with your spirit guides, whether you are connected to a different star system, Pleiades, Orion, Sirius B, Arcturians, you know, higher energy beings, angels, other type of guides, white brotherhoods. You know, they are very pleased to assist humanity by raising our consciousness, and they are very pleased to give forward wisdom, inspiration, healing, and that sort of things. So again, you know, the fifth dimension, it's the vibrational frequency of everything that is love and above. So love, joy, peace, purpose, alignment. That's really more in the concepts of the fifth dimension. And that's really the challenge, what's going on, you know, because we still live in a society that's very much obsessed with identity and status and the ego and the mind and the third dimension. And if you wander around, you get exposed to that every single day, like kaboom, kaboom, new messages, new stimulations. And as a high sensitive, you get bombarded with that, you get stimulated by that. And it can be sometimes overwhelming, a bit like an energy drainer. So what is very, very, very important to us, you know, we all go through different journeys, different kind of processes, and when we slowly wake up in the beginning, we have a lot of resistance and anger against it and resentments, and again you lower your own energy level. Then you have you become maybe apathetic, you know, like, why should I go along with this? I can't be bothered, and you become depressed, you feel anxious, you feel burnt out, and you don't want to be here anymore, and you know, that sort of things. And maybe you then have moments like, you know what, the only thing I really want is to be alone. I don't want to have social interactions anymore. I want to separate myself from this world. I just go alone. I go in nature. I go in go out in the mountains, I go out in the forest, and you want to be alone. And solitude is indeed a very important process of, you know, getting back in touch with your own essence. Because then you don't get stimulated, you don't get distracted by everything that's coming at you. And that's really also the way, to listen more closely to your own voice, you know, your own essence, to develop your own intuition, to get in touch with your own higher self, to become silence and listen to what has been given to you within the silence. And that's really kind of the process. But it is a journey. That's also what I'm currently on. It is, you know, constantly like we are still a little bit with one foot in the other and another foot in the other. So one day we can, you know, be at peace when we are in the forest, and then the other day we go back into normal society because we need to get along in this consumer-based society, and we actually also want to do well in that. And then we get along with the messages that are coming at us, like, you know, you need to generate your wealth and, you know, have your own business and that sort of things, and we are trying to get along with it, and then again we exhaust ourselves, and then we wish to withdraw from that. So it is kind of challenging. It is kind of challenging to embrace your own personal powers as a healer, as an artist, as a teacher perhaps, and to align yourself more with what it is that you actually really came here to do. And it is constantly listening to these signals, to these voices, like, yes, this is what brings me joy. Yes, this is what I love to do. Yes, this is what I can express my gratitude in. This is what makes me feel more grateful, because these are these higher vibrational feelings and experiences that will lift you up to this higher plane. Yes, these are very, very low. You can almost touch them. Sorry for the noise, because I just wanted to get out here in my local park, and unfortunately it might look very green, but again, a lot of traffic here. Anyway, I know, again, you know, I said it before, as soon as we put words on something, we rationalize it, we conceptualize it, and it actually lost its power already. But again, you know, I want to share this thought with you, so we can have a chat about it, you know, we can have a conversation about it, so we can learn from each other, we can, you know, share experiences. So, you know, what exactly does it mean for you? What does it mean for you to shift your consciousness and raise your vibrational frequency into the fifth dimension? What does it mean for you? I'm very curious, so feel free to drop a comment below. And again, if you resonated with this stuff, then you know what to do, so feel free to subscribe and to share this video. Shabal, I hope that was helpful, and I will see you in another one. Take care for now. Bye bye.